pop up.
Still working on that. I got to get that voiceover done with Virginia. Just keep
There we
getting
go.
distracted with stuff, so I got to get on that. Maybe I'll knock that out this week and just get it done.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. All right. So wait, why is it? Okay, never mind. We are live. Oh man, technical. All right, so yeah, we're live on the Above the Set podcast. It's been a little bit of a break, but we're back at it and kind of doing things a little bit different. Each one of us kind of took some time to watch a film, so we'll talk about that. But just to catch up, since it's been a little bit of break, what have y'all been up to in the meantime? Seen
Definitely,
anything? Done anything?
definitely not taking a break, man. I mean, it's been busy. I know you've been busy. I think Chris was traveling a little bit, so
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I mean, we've been watching at the house Acolyte a little bit, kind of digging into that. We've been finishing out Shogun, so we've been watching that as well. I've been watching this little. It was on HBO Max, and then I think it got canceled there, and then Amazon Prime picked it. I think it was Amazon or was it Netflix? One of the two picked it up, and it's called Scavenger's Ring. It's an
Hmm.
animated, really pretty. It's like survivors of like a spaceship end up crash landing on this planet, and it's kind of a bit of a character drama, and it's just really beautifully animated and I don't know, kind of meditative, even though there's a lot of danger and stakes in it. But it's a cool program. It's good.
Okay. Sounds interesting. Yeah, I ain't been up too much, like you said, like prepping for the film that we're
Yeah.
about to start doing detox. But in the meantime, I think I did take like 2 days and we binged Sweet Tooth. Have y'all watched that any?
I have
No, I
not.
think my girlfriend did, but
It's actually pretty good. I mean, it's something good to watch when you have the toddler looking at the TV too. But it's
no.
still good for adults.
Hmm.
But yeah, not up to much. Um, So Corey is not with us, so he'll be on the next episode. So I'll probably take Corey's segment and we'll
Okay.
jump right into it. So in the meantime, well, trying to get everything prepped for the film and everything, I was all right. Let me sit down and watch some Netflix. And I like Guy Ritchie, so it definitely suggested a Guy Ritchie film. So I
Yeah.
was like, all right, I've never seen this, The Man from Uncle,
Oh, you hadn't
and I
seen that
started.
yet?
I haven't seen that, and I know I just found out after I finished it because I was like, man, where's this? There's a sequel coming. When's it coming? And this was done in 2015, so I was like,
Hmm.
okay, I missed this one somehow,
Mhm.
but I loved it. It was dope. Have either one of y'all seen it?
I have not.
I have.
Okay,
I saw it a little
so
while
it's
ago, and
it's
actually, we just Virginia hadn't seen it. My girlfriend hadn't seen it, so we just watched it together like last week, the week before.
oh okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I was telling Anna too as I was watching. I was like, you would enjoy watching it because I mean
Yeah.
it also has a good balance of macho and like empowering the female actor or
Hmm.
actress. But so anyway, how it starts off, Chris, and to the audience is I won't say how it starts off, but the story is based on it's a spy espionage kind of film, and the spy from America is going over and has to like extract um, a citizen in Germany or whatever. So it's during that uh,
Cold
time
War.
era, which
Mhm.
yeah, Cold War.
Yeah.
So then, as he extracts her, they're being chased down by like some pretty much like the way they made it is a KGB agent, but the way they made it seem is like they made him in a factory or something. I mean, this
Yeah.
dude couldn't. He could outrun a car. He was holding. It was nuts.
He's like
And
Dolph Lundgren in
Oh
Rocky
man.
4 or whatever.
yeah, and so the agent on the American side is Henry Cavill. So he's a big dude. They made the KGB dude, and I don't know if he really is. Looked like he was a giant over Henry. So
Yeah,
and
I
and
remember.
like the opening scene, but it's pretty. It was just cool how they interacted with each other. Just kind of first showing off their characters, but it just has some really good dialogue. I really like the dialogue of it, and then
Yeah.
just visually, I like Guy Ritchie. So visually, it was really just good to watch. But
Hmm.
what I really enjoyed most about it, and I'm not going to go into spoiling too much because people should go watch it. Chris should go watch it. But like the what I enjoyed the most about it is I really like Archer, the animated series,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
Henry Cavill's character completely reminded me of Archer, like everything. And it was like I was watching a live action Archer. I don't know if you
No,
felt the same now
yeah.
that I'm saying that, if you look back at it. But I mean, just like his nuances of like if something was happening, like action wise, they were in some type of bad situation. He was just like, oh, it would be all right. You know, still just like eating his apple and going on about like,
Yeah.
it's just, yeah, it was just so Archer.
Stopping like that sequence where the Russian agent is on the boat in the boat chase,
Yes, exactly.
and
Yeah,
he
yeah. And he
swims and he's
takes
just
his
sitting
time
there
to pour wine and all that
yeah,
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
eating the sandwich the entire time. Napoleon
Yeah.
Solo is the American agent. You can't get much
That's who it was.
more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Napoleon
But no,
Solo.
you know, integrating the whole like spy thing and back in. I just really love to see movies go back in time like that. And that's another thing I look at is like, man, how did they get so much material to make sure they really hit all the marks? I mean, the all the props were like dead on that age from what I could tell as far as the trackers, the way they
Yeah.
dressed, the wordplay and everything. So I don't know, it was really cool. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it had kind of like a little bit of like the kitschy James Bond throwback to like the 60s and 70s where it had like tracking devices and some little bit of over the top set pieces and the Russians and the Brits and the Americans all kind of working against but with each other. It's that one's fun. I think you know, even you as a super fan, you missed it, but I think a lot of audiences missed that one, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was just reading up on it, and it was because it didn't have a good box office, so it went straight to streaming, and then from streaming, people started to pick up on it.
Yeah.
So, so that happened. But now, Chris, I think you should watch it just because I know what you like
I'm gonna watch
to look
it.
at. I think you would. It's on Netflix.
I'll watch.
But yeah,
it.
it's kind of it's pretty much a comedy, I would say, but it's a action comedy. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, I love.
Last thing on it is I loved how they used, and it kind of inspired me. I think I want to try to pull it off with Detox on one scene. I'm thinking is how they used the split screen.
Yes.
If you remember that, like they were using the split screen to show like pretty much B-roll, and then the B-roll would come together and it would all of a sudden be the A-roll. I thought that was dope.
Yeah, very like 70s style throwback. Kind of a lot of like action spy thrillers there. I mean, that was when we watched Fall Guy, they used that, and you were talking about that. That one as well.
He definitely kept that alive, for sure. But yeah, so that's definitely go check out The Man from Uncle. And I knew what Uncle stood for, and then now I forgot. But it's like United Nations Command Enforcement League or something. Or League of Enforcement. I don't know, something like that. But they do have a sequel coming out because I went and looked it up. They have a sequel coming out. It's probably going to come out next year, but they're working on it. Guy Ritchie's back. Yeah, Guy Ritchie, Henry Cavill. The co-star is not going to be in it. He got in trouble. I'm just going to leave that there. But yeah, go check it out. It's on Netflix. And that is what I was checking out. But yeah, so y'all would enjoy it. But what have y'all been up to? What did you go watch?
Well, my movie. You talking about my movie? What did I go watch?
Yeah, either one of y'all. Whoever wants to take it.
Twisters. So it's kind of funny because it's like we almost have like a little bit of a throwback '90s theme with like Chris's movie, and then I had Twisters and all that. So we have some sequels to some '90s movies. Obviously, that's popular right now, especially if we listen to what Mr. Vince Vaughn had to say, where he was talking about. You know, the producers just won't touch anything unless it has an IP behind it. Well, anyway, Twisters sequel to, of course, Twister.
Twister,
yeah, where you had Helen Hunt, you had I almost called him Bill Paxton, but that is not right. I was like Bill Paxton. I was like, no, we were talking Independence Day the other day. But this new one comes out.
Disconnected. He'll be back.
Oh, he disconnected. All right. Well, we'll keep.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Yeah,
you're good.
But yeah, I kind of didn't know what to expect coming into this because it's like, you know, we've seen so many bad sequels coming out over the past, you know, decade, really, if not longer. And when you look at the movie Twister, you kind of go, how do you follow that up? Like, what do you do? And it's like, obviously, from the title, you're kind of like, all right, more Twisters, but the first movie already had a lot of twisters, so you can't really build on that. So I was kind of wondering what they were going to do with this. And
what they end up doing.
I mean, so at the end of the day, it's still a movie with a lot of heart. And basically what they did is the cast that's in Twisters doesn't really have any direct connection to the original. So there's no direct connection to Twister other than the Dorothy 5. Remember the radar unit that they put in it to like track it? That makes an appearance, and they do point it out, and they call it like an antique. But you don't really see anything else from the original movies other than some lines, or the original movie other than some like lines. They're not like the daughter of Helen Hunt or something like that is running around, or Carrie Elwes shows up.
Oh, so they didn't bring anybody back?
No, and it's like we were talking about it. We were kind of wondering, we're like, did we miss a character maybe that someone was connected? But no, and honestly, I think this was a better way to do it because they just kind of started the story a bit fresh. They almost acknowledged that, like, that existed because you do see the Dorothy unit. But basically, the movie starts out, and just like the original movie, you have kind of like it opens with tragedy related to a twister. So we have a personal effect on the character. And then after that, it kind of brings us to modern day. And you have some of the characters coming together, and our main character, she gets convinced to go chase some twisters because now they want to defeat the twisters. So before they were just trying to collect the data. Now what they're trying to do is they're trying to make a tornado dissipate. Kind of a good idea. They brought in some elements of like some modernity with like YouTube personalities, like chasing twisters just for their own like clicks and edification and things like that. And then you have like the scientific side. This time around though, they kind of flipped the script where it's like our main character and the good guys kind of start out as basically as like the corporate people, and then the other team is like more of like the redneck, kind of like screwballs, kind of crazy, like what like Helen Hunt's team was in the original.
Okay.
Yeah. So
how was the cast?
Can you all hear me, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we can hear you, man. What was that?
Yeah, you're back. So how was the cast as far as like the main guy? Because I have like mixed feelings about him in certain movies that I see him in.
What do you think about him? I'm kind of curious before I say anything.
And it might not be him. It might just be the films that I've seen him in where I'm just like, it's a little bit like.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're like, man, it's about to be a dusty ass performance. The same performance they always give. I know exactly how you feel, bro.
Okay. So, I mean, listen, they knew who they were hiring for this movie, right? And this guy he oozes charisma. Like, that is his job. He shows up. He's got like, he's in good shape. He's a good looking dude. He just his resting face is just constantly just everywhere he walks. He's just full
like Johnny Bravo kind of vibes. That's what I get from him.
Exactly. But I will say generally in this, I mean, he seems to have a good sense of humor. He had some good comedic timing. He doesn't seem like he takes himself too seriously. I don't know anything about the guy personally, but at least there, it's like when he was the butt of the joke, it always seemed in like really good humor, and his, at least his character work, he always played along with it. But I like the cast, honestly. Like there was a lot of actors that I didn't really know their work, and that was kind of nice in a way, simply because it kind of let the story breathe a little bit more. I thought the cast generally had some good chemistry. Overall, like the individual performances were good. This movie doesn't quite live up to the original. It's good. It's fun. It's a good date movie, but it doesn't live up to the original.
Good date movie.
Yeah, it's a great date movie. And like, I was kind of wondering why it didn't live up to the original, right? Because watching the movie, like the tornado effects are pretty good. There were moments of tension that I actually kind of found myself like a little bit on the edge of my seat, like, shoot, that tornado, it's gonna, I mean, they kill a couple people in this movie, so they kind of give you like an element of like, wow, is the other shoe gonna drop? But
Got you. So when you say that, I got to ask this because I'm looking at the stars. So IMDb gave the original 6.5 and this one got 7.1. What would you take on why it might have got
Wait,
a higher?
what?
I don't
Really?
even understand how that could be possible, to be honest with you.
I don't even
It's probably maybe. What are they rated on? What is
Yeah.
it being rated
Is
on?
that fans
Revenue?
it's not broken down, but let's see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is actually a little bit. Majority of the people gave it a 7, a solid.
Who are the
7,
people?
and then right.
Like you mean like the audience score or what have you?
I guess audience, yeah, that's what, because it says
Okay.
4,000 people voted for it on that category, so that has
That's
to be
crazy.
audience.
I mean,
Maybe critics aren't as critical anymore.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of for that, because it's like, I don't know, I don't think I've met anybody who's like, oh yeah, that movie Twister, it's okay, or nah, that movie sucks.
Yeah, no.
I think that's like genuinely like liked by a lot of people, right? I mean, so I can't really tell you exactly why, and it's not. I think that they put Twisters for a fan score at about the right spot. Twisters is kind of a crowd pleaser. It's light fare. Like I said, it's a good date movie. It's a good like kind of summer blockbuster kind of feel to it. So I get that. I'm actually more surprised that Twister is rated so low, because I would probably put Twister at like an 8, 8.5, and Twister is at like a 6.5, 7. And I think that there is something to be said now, at least, for like what you're talking about. So Glenn Powell, right? The handsome lead. He was in Top Gun Maverick. He did any One But You or whatever with Sydney Sweeney, who's a recurring.
He has something on Netflix now too called Hitman, which I keep seeing it. And I'm like, man, do I want to check it out? But then I like see the preview and I'm like, nah, I don't want to right now.
I forgot about that one. That one was doing pretty well, and I have not seen that one either.
Okay.
And I was kind of in the same boat where it kind of felt like it was just going to be
cheesy.
Yeah, but so I was thinking about this, right? And it's like, I like the lead. I'm really not too familiar with her. Her name is Daisy Edgar Jones. And I really wasn't familiar with her work at all. And I liked her, you know. She's kind of playing this character where she suffered a loss at the beginning. So now she's dealing with some trauma, and it kind of takes her some time to come out of her shell. So there's a few moments of like, there's some periods of her being a little bit flat. But I think she and Glenn Powell have really great chemistry where it's actually like cute. Like I bought them together. But you see these glimpses of her in flashbacks where she has like so much personality. Like, you know, and you almost like miss that throughout the movie. And it was bothering me, like, why? I was like, what is missing from this movie? You know, because, you know, again, you had the tornadoes, you had some funny jokes, you had some jokes that kind of flatlined. They really did a good job sticking to the spirit of the original, like some quirky characters. It's always about like a small town community kind of being attacked by this monster of the tornado, right? But what is the first movie about? Right. So this movie, I told you, is about them trying to go and beat Twisters. Like they want to make Twisters disappear when they appear. You know, so that they're using like science to beat them or whatever.
So I guess now they're trying to say like, oh, we got the data to do that from the first one.
Yeah. So part of this is like expanding on that data, and then the end of it in kind of a rush fashion is them actually trying to put that data together and like take out a Twister. This movie, I said to my girlfriend, I was like, this movie has what a movie like this needs. It has heart. It has action. It has destruction. Great. That's all there. But it was missing humanity. And that might sound really strange to you guys because I'm saying it has heart, because it does. There's like this like love of the beauty of Twisters. There's like this love of the game from all the characters where they all are really into the science, or they're really into the thrill, or they're really into it. They you know, there's some sex appeal happening, things like that. They care about like the civilians or whatever who are getting hurt, but there's no humanity. And the story is well crafted. There's some really great elements in this movie, but the thing that it missed was what the original movie was about. And the original movie isn't about them chasing tornadoes. The original movie is about a man trying to get a divorce from his wife, and then falling in love with his old life and her again. That's what that movie's about. That's where the humanity of that movie
Yeah,
comes from.
I forgot that was like a through line in that.
Yeah, and it's like, as an audience member, like, you pick up on that because it's like there was this heat and this passion and this like dirtiness in the original one. Like, there's those scenes where it's like they're just caked in mud and wind is flowing around, but they're not so much worried about the wind and the mud and the tornado. They're yelling at each other. They're fighting. You know, there's the part where like the Dorothy falls over and you know, he's yelling at her and he's like, Joe, let it go. You just gotta let it go. You never could. And it's like, they're not fighting about the tornado or the Dorothy. They're fighting each other. And it's like, that's the core elements of any movie that you make, whether it's a space opera or, you know, a monster movie or whatever. It has to have humanity. So this movie almost gets there. It's got the heart. It's missing the humanity. And there was a decision. I don't think that anybody is surprised that with the cast that's here, especially with Glenn Powell, he's meant to be like the love, like the heartthrob dude. There's even like a straight like wearing a white t-shirt, and it's like the tightest white t-shirt you've ever seen on a cowboy in your life. And it's raining outside. And he's got his cowboy hat on. He walks out and he's just like straight up, like just flexing. And I was like, all right, movie, come on, just get that t-shirt wet on this man. Like, we know what we're getting here. But there's no kiss. There's no kiss in the movie.
And there's, I get your point there. That's solid. And the thing with that to me is, you know, I keep reading on how like people are really saying independent films and independent studios are about to, like, we might be seeing the slow decline of Hollywood because the stories like that are cliche. It's the pretty face, whether it's male or female, and then like the story that you already know, you know how it's all going to turn out more than likely. And independent films have more surprises, more, just more. It's like it's getting more cinematic in independent films, and it's more about like products, brand placements, and who the face is of the film and all that stuff. So I don't know, man. And I just read an article that said a lot of people are moving out of Hollywood and going to like the next up and coming places like Atlanta. And I didn't know this, Scottsdale in Arizona, because Netflix bought a huge, or Albuquerque, they bought a huge studio there, and they're expanding. So like, I don't know, man. I don't know where Hollywood's really gonna be. I mean, it's already like, this is the foundation of film, so it's not gonna go away. But I think it's about to have some stiff competition in like the next day.
I think, and I hope that, you know, kind of what we're looking at with Hollywood right now is what we're looking at, you know, in the 70s, where it's like you had the death of the major studio factory film system. And then you had the auteurs start to come in and take over. And all of a sudden films they got a little crazy, but they got brilliant. I mean, some of the best movies came out of that period because it became the wild, wild west again. And they didn't have some of the budgets. They didn't have all the stars attached, but more talented people came out of that. I mean, you know, and then we got back into the factory system, you know? So, you know, with and it's, that's pushing it.
Yeah. And it's like, I bet you probably could write down a better cast that probably was, and I'm not going to say, you know, that they didn't do good in the film, but like, even though like, you know, we're just seeing kind of the same faces in the films. It's like, man, I think this person could have done that a lot better. It's just like, I don't know, where the casting is also missed too right now on a lot of films.
Yeah. I mean, I said after watching it, I was like, you know, the first one had it had a maturity to it.
Definitely.
It was, why am I blanking on the, you know, the guy who he passed away, you know, really, you know, he's in Aliens, he was in everything. It was Bill Paxton. I had the name right the entire time. Why didn't you tell me, man? But you know, when you look at Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt, I mean, you know, I'm not here to dunk on them and say that they're not like attractive people, but they're not Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar James or whatever. But what they really were is, I mean, they were mature, you know, tested actors who have done like really heavy work. So when you put them in an environment where the backdrop, the filmmaker was really trying to push for chaos, and this town's blown up, and they've got a wind machine going and they're throwing mud on you and stuff like that. But they were able in those circumstances to have like really deep scenes with the dialogue that they had available to them. And then you had like in the background of that movie, pretty much you had the creativity of like Philip Seymour Hoffman playing like a third wheel character in the background of that. Like that guy is brilliant, so when you look at that system of like the focus on the individual like craft and artistry of every bit of it, I think that that's something that has gone out of it. And I don't want to dunk on this movie too hard. I'm not trying to, actually. I think that they did a pretty good job, but I think that they did try. And there's some genuinely funny moments. I really did like the characters. I really rooted for them. It's just that some of it got lost in translation where the stakes weren't there. I think maybe this cast hasn't been asked to do some really heavy lifting in their past. And I think the director sometimes didn't know how to push them there.
Yeah, it seemed like new faces. Now, I will say this because you mentioned it. I knew it, but I forgot that Bill Paxton passed away.
Yeah.
Because I was like, man, I loved him in movies. And I was like, where's he been? I forgot. That's crazy. That's a great big young crazy. Man. It's just, man, and it's like it hits me because like, damn, I'm getting old. So like, the people from the stars from then.
Yeah.
So what would you rate Twisters if you had to give it an overall rating?
I feel like I always give like really harsh scores. But I don't know. I think harsh but fair. I try to reserve my like rating systems. Anything that's like 8, 9, or 10 is like really good. So I think if I put like a 6 out there, I'm not trying to say that something's like abysmal, but I would give it like a 6.5, 7. Right in that area. I think most audiences, I think IMDb has it about right, a 7. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to have fun. You're going to get the destruction elements. You're going to get some of the eye candy out of it. It's good. It's a worthy.
How was the CGI? Was it very?
Bro, I'll be honest.
Over the top.
In the opening scene, I was worried. Worried. It looked like you've been working on like your car rig stuff.
Right.
It looked like there were some bits. It looked like someone just on a soundstage, like a tiny little soundstage, like my office here or something like that. Like just did a car rig. It was quiet. It didn't have like atmosphere to it. It looked just green screen.
Didn't match. Yeah.
Did match. Thankfully, the movie did pick up. The CGI improved. There are more moments of general fogginess where the Twisters didn't feel as real as the original movie. I think it has that same effect as like Jurassic Park, where there was this grittiness in the foreground. I don't know. I felt the Twisters felt more intimidating in the first movie compared to this one. And there were a lot of just like, it turned into a fire tornado because it ran into a fuel depot and now it's just fire going to the sky. And I'm like,
you're right.
Yeah, that's intimidating, but it didn't have they couldn't do anything with it. Like they couldn't have an effect on anything with it because it was too much. So it's good. I think the original is more effective though.
Yeah, they were reaching. Well, still waiting on Chris to try to reconnect, but I'm going to throw in some B-roll. And we might just throw in both of the B-rolls if Chris isn't back by now, just to talk about it. But pretty much the B-rolls are to take a little break from the in-depth movie talk and just talk about what's happening local and with what this channel represents. So Filmlanthropy does have a film festival that's coming in October. It's about to be a lot more put out about it because there has been some fine tuning. It's year 1 of running a film festival, so a lot of things change. But the venue for one, so we unfortunately aren't going to have it at Devil's Logic because they are shutting their doors. So the venue will be changing. Yeah, so they closed. Yeah, so
if
very competitive place for a brewery.
That time, man.
Keep them in business. Yeah. So Yeah, so the film festival will change to the actual location where we're having our networking events, the Meet and Creates, which is Sip City. You'll see more information on that, but a lot more updates coming. The exposure tour has been slimmed down a little bit to Charlotte, Louisville, and Nashville for sure. The two other cities are kind of up in the air as venues are being figured out and everything, but still, that's a huge. I think that's the biggest perk to this festival is submitting a film and you're a finalist and you go get seen in person by 4 other venues in 4 other different cities. So
you get exposure. It's basically submitting to one festival and then getting multiple, which film festivals add up the cost.
Exactly.
Fast.
And this one doesn't cost that much.
No, this is pretty much nothing compared to most of them.
Yeah. So, and to go back to that, and that point we'll move on, is this film festival is affordable and it's not meant to be transactional. Like, thanks for your payment. We're trying to rack up on getting submissions. Like, no, we want you to get something out of it. That's why there's so much give back as far as exposure tour being talked about on the podcast when you submit, being screened and everything. And then also what you win out of the festival is things that actually help your growth as a filmmaker. So check out, search Filmlanthropy at Film Freeway and you'll see more information about it. So.
Absolutely. Awesome, man.
Yeah. And that's on the festival.
Networking, you've been making moves,
trying to get it going. And, and this is another plug into it, I guess, even, it's still a platform for us internally because we're making a couple of films. They're going to debut there. So it's just, it's going to be a good time for people that even just want to be a part of filmmaking and watch films or whatever, even if you don't submit anything. So
absolutely. Yeah. And I know
just real quick, on the note of festivals, I don't know if you saw that Sundance was looking for a new home, right? Have you seen that?
No, I didn't see that. What's the deal?
So, well, their contract is up for I guess just being in Utah in 2027 or 26 or something like that. So they're just like, all right, before we renew, let's shop around and see who wants to host this. And from what I researched, Charlotte was never even in the discussion, which is like, it's disappointing to me because I would love to see that here, but it's also not surprising. And this might bring some hate to my name, maybe, who knows, but it is what it is. It's just the Charlotte film community kind of needs to be a little bit more meshed. It's very, what's the best word to put it? Individual and cliquey. And that's not a community. And so like a festival like Sundance isn't going to be entertaining to come to a community like that. So hopefully Charlotte can do better, starting with Philanthropy or whoever else is doing things, and we can get something like Sundance to come here in the future. So
or like just stuff kind of building its own. I mean, I think Sundance, Charlotte's an amazing city. It's a great destination. It's close to everything. But I think when you look at like Sundance and Park City and all that stuff, I mean, they're looking bougie. Like they want the place where millionaires and billionaires are actually going to want to go on their vacation for that 1 to 2 weeks to spend money on films and everything else that goes on there.
So to shock you, 2 of the cities that are in the finalists is Louisville, Kentucky, and Cincinnati.
What?
And I'm gonna tell you, I've grown up around both of those cities, and I know now. I will say Cincinnati might be doing doing more with film than Charlotte, because they have been having some movies made there, and stuff like that. So, but Louisville shocked me. At Louisville, I was like, wow, if Louisville was a finalist over. And Charlotte might not even have submitted anything. So, but for them for it to be Louisville and not Charlotte is just kind of weird to me.
Yeah,
because
I'm from Kentucky, or Nashville, or any, like Louisville and Cincinnati. Like not even Cincinnati, not Cleveland. Hey, Akron's available, I'm sure.
If it goes to Louisville, I would love that. That'd be that would be amazing. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd be happy for my state of Kentucky. for
I
sure.
mean, and to be honest with you, at least it would be kind of down the road, So, I mean, I guess
Yeah,
that
exactly.
wouldn't be too bad as far as that goes. So that would bring opportunity to the area. So I guess on that front, kind of almost have to root for Louisville.
Yeah, most definitely. So Chris is still having technical difficulties. So I'm going to ask you, since he was going to talk about Beverly Hills. Let me see if he texted me, actually. I thought
Man, abducted by aliens. That's what happens when you live on a ranch in Arizona. You get abducted by aliens.
Yeah, monsoons are happening. You know what? On that note, I hope everything is okay, actually, while I'm just thinking about him being on the podcast.
You're like, oh, sorry, technical difficulties. We got one critic with his house like underwater, basically. We got another critic abducted by aliens. I think the lesson here: get in the industry. You're safer that way, I guess.
Yeah. Something's going on with the critics. Yeah, they're going through it right now. I feel bad for them. They have some environmental issues going on for both of them. But I guess in another light, because this might end up wrapping it up. And we might just have to catch up on what these two critics have been up to on the next episode. But another B-roll segment that I was going to talk about is, and this is new to you, Jake, so you can probably give some live feedback. You've heard about it a little bit, but the first workshop from Philanthropy should be coming probably about mid-September is my goal. And it's called As Seen on TV, which I'm kind of proud of that name. So As Seen on TV is the workshop. I'm not going to spoil too many details. It's going to be very high level right now until it's out there. But pretty much for actors, you can get a script. You'll sign up for this workshop. You'll come on set, get real on-set experience, studio lighting, cinema cameras, the whole works to act out a scene. So if you look at it, it's going to happen as actors are going to sign up. You'll get your script ahead of time. You'll get to read through the rows because you will get put through several of the rows just so you can get that experience in each one. One thing that I'm thinking about doing, I know I'm going to do, is I want to put it at a number where each actor can kind of partner up and it kind of be like an accountability partner. So as you get some live peer coaching from someone that's going to watch you go and perform, and you can come back, kind of chat about it. You can kind of just give each other feedback. So you're leaving with that as well. So that's one thing. And this isn't much of a spoiler, but the plan is to have segments, and one will definitely be on a film set that will be designed by my wife, who is she builds custom furniture. She wants to get into set design. So she's going to build some awesome sets. So we'll have a set design done that way. And the second segment is going to be some car rigging stuff, which I can't talk too much on that yet. I'm looking into like how permits work and everything, but more so like a poor man's process trailer is how it's going to look.
Dirty like that.
Because Jake, I don't know if you have any experience of sitting in a car, having camera rigged up on it, whether it's a green screen, the car's being towed, or what that might be. What does that experience look like for you?
I've never done it with the car being towed.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never had that happen. I've been in a moving vehicle. I've been physically driving the vehicle. Well, it's happened. I've been, of course, in a city.
And like vehicle. A cameraman is sitting beside you or something.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. So, and I've sat with a rig before, which is honestly kind of preferable, just because you kind of, it's basically a camera on sticks. You know where your light is. You know where your frame is. Yeah. So even if you want to drive naturally or give a look or act or whatever, you know where you are. So, whereas the cameraman in the back is bouncing around or next to you, and he's like, "You turn, you can't," But I've never had it with it being towed before, so I can't speak to that. Yeah. But honestly, cool. Takes the ball out of your court where you don't have to worry about driving as well as what you're doing in the scene. So it sounds good. And on top of that, like getting quality footage is hard. Exactly. I always say I'm jealous of a lot of other artists because it's like a painter can just sit alone and paint. A musician can just strum their guitar and compose songs and go to open mic nights. But as an actor, a lot of times you need someone to act with, you need someone to edit, you need someone to write, maybe you need someone to shoot it, light it. So, finding resources like this is important, especially quality stuff.
Yeah, no, it takes a village, and I think that goes overlooked too, with even just how small something can be. Even even when people, that's why I really want to get critics involved in this community, so they get an inside view of, like, even though it's not on Netflix and it's just being made for YouTube, it takes a village to make these films.
No doubt. I mean, and I think that's kind of what you've been building with Filmlanthropy and all that too.
The journey's just starting.
Yeah, it's just especially My journey just got started out here. Yours got started out here.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's a great area. I mean, you're not wrong. A lot of people are moving. The industry's been tough after the strikes, man. It's been, auditions are slimmed down. I think it's like 50% less in the way of like actual projects coming out over this past year since the strikes, relative to what it was the year prior. And that's huge. It's massive, which also means that there's a vacuum right now.
Yeah.
You may not be getting cast as much. You may not be finding as much work, but there's still stuff to do. There's still work to get done. And if you continue to create during that time, it's actually the time to do it, because you're not going to be busy with another project, but you have to be ready when that project's going to come across your plate.
Yeah. And I'll say on my end of it with like camera, it's been, and I have something to talk to you about offline, which I'm venturing into. But as far as like camera, it's like all the gigs that come up, I'm running to my wife and be like, hey, how can we manage me flying to Nashville for a day or two, or going to Ohio or South Carolina? How far is this? And if I do that, because I say that because Charlotte right now, I just feel like there's nothing popping up.
Yeah.
So that's the name of the game too right now, is you're going to have to be ready to be on the top list. So one of the first people to kind of apply for it, because they might be moving quick, and then ready to hop on a plane and go get it done. So
I mean,
it's the name of the game right now.
It's always been the case. I mean, you're always, as we say on our part of the industry, book the room. Book the room. You want to be top of mind. You want to be known as reliable. You want to be known as good, because sometime, somewhere, someone's going to drop out. Something's going to be available. Someone's not going to be able to make something work. Someone won't work on something. So who are they going to come to?
Exactly.
You better hope so. And when they do, what are you going to do? So that's kind of where this side comes into this type of stuff, where it's like, you just can't, you have to keep putting the work in between, there's, we always, on the acting side of stuff, we talk about, like, we have this eagerness to show off all the work that we put in. Trey, do you know how much work I did in my trailer? I came up with a backstory for this character. Do you want to hear it? And you're like, no. You're like, I want you to do the lines and hit your mark and come in and give a great performance. And we're like, oh, no one cares about that work. And it's like, yes, of course they do, because that's how you deliver the lines, hit your mark, and it looks good and people like it. So yeah, you don't want to be that overeager person who just keeps talking about their work. You want to be the person who does the work to the point where you can show up.
That's right in front of them too.
Yeah.
And on that note, because I was just thinking, because like I just the way that I direct and on these projects, I'll be directing in cinematography, but like I love one or two takes, and give it organic. Even if you twist up a word into your own like organic way of saying it and running the line, I just love that, and just keep running with it. But it's like, let's just handle what's in front of us, because time is money when you're filming. So let's just keep it rolling. But man, I'm excited to shoot Detox, and everyone that's probably heard me saying that, Detox is going to be a really cool piece to this project that we're doing. We have an awesome location, so shout out to Common Market. Got to meet the general manager the last out. So I went in there and did took some shots so I could do some prep. and make a shot list. So I met him, and it's a great aesthetic. So I think the Detox, the store scene inside Common Market might be the highlight of it all.
I mean,
really
it's a central piece to it. So it better be, of course.
Yeah.
So,
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
It kind of ties everything together. So
definitely.
In Common Market, I mean, talk about a Charlotte institution. I mean, their stuff is great, and they've got a few different locations. So it's cool. I will say, coming back east, it does remind me a little bit of like coming out of college, where it's like you go to a place and you're like, hey, I want to shoot something here, and they're like, oh, cool. Really? Like, when? Like, what are you doing? As opposed to like, what's your permit? How much you gonna pay us? Not that like a venue doesn't deserve its due or what have you, but there's just more of an enthusiasm, and people are welcoming, and there's a community, which I found attractive about Charlotte.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna call it a wrap on this episode, as we started without Corey, we lost Chris. The
if
next
anybody
one
can
will
find our critics, check on them, please. We worry about you. We love you guys. We miss you.
Send them this way. But yeah, I'm gonna hop off here and work on a final version of the script.
Yep.
And we'll catch you all on the next one.
Thanks y'all for tuning in.
All right.
Go see Twisters.
Yep. All right, Jake. I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, man. I'll catch you later, brother.
All right, see you.